I'm PF, this is my tape recorder. Coming up, Andy Kindler has a new obsession.
I was turning to this guy who's on Twitter, and he's either talking about how much he's an atheist, and then the other half of his tweets are he claims not to care what people or think of him.
Yes, Andy is still concerned about the career of Bill Maher, but he has another fixation that's currently taking up his time. Actually, he has two. We'll find out who those are in just a little bit. Bit of a different show today. No fake news, no dumb bit. Fangirl and I are going to review the Bunbury Music Festival, which took place in Cincinnati just over this past weekend. And she's going to join me on the other side of Fun, and we'll discuss the festival then. This is Fun with Why Am I the One? This was actually a single in the UK. It was not a single here, but it is from their second big hit album, Some Nights. This is Fun on PF's Tape Recorder.
I got enough on my mind that when she pulls me by the hair, she hasn't much to hold on to. She keeping count on her hand. 1, 2, 3 days that I've been sleeping on my side. I finished kissing my dad, so now I head back up the steps, thinking about where I've been. I mean, the sun was never like this. So I wanna feel with seasons. I guess it makes sense, cause my life's become as vapid as a night out in Los Angeles, and I just wanna stay in bed and hold you like I used to. You know that I am home. So darling, if you love me, would you let me know? Or go on, go on, go on, if you were thinking that the worst is yet to come. Why am I the one always packing up my stuff? For once, I get the feeling that I'm right where I belong. Why am I the one always packing up my stuff? She got enough on her mind that you feel no sorrow. I let my faith fill the air, so now she's rolling down the window. Never been one to hold on, but
Why Am I the One? By Fun. They headlined Friday night at Bunbury, and of course they were very dramatic, wouldn't you say, Hannah?
That's actually what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, good.
Every single band there was probably in a competition to see who could do the most dramatic thing possible. Fun, what they brought to the table, they come out and it's pitch black and they are all wearing suits and they are up on this big platform, and then they tear off the suits or in regular clothes.
Well, they're huddled around Andrew Dost's keyboard.
Oh, yeah, they're
the
all
three of them.
They're all huddled there.
Yeah.
All fancy. The guy from 21 Pilots has a big vintage-looking piano on stage.
That's Tyler. Tyler Josh, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
Right.
He comes running out on stage in a skeleton costume and breaks the piano in half, and then he can't play it until everyone else fixes it.
Yeah. Well,
then later in the set, climbs up the rafters on top of the actual main stage. And
I missed that part.
Died doing that, but
Yeah. You hear it's not tragic.
Whatever floats your boat.
it did look like the boys in 21 Pilots got a good deal at the My Chemical Romance garage sale.
Well, My Chemical Romance broke up. They got rid of all the music video props, and that's where 21 Pilots went.
Yeah. Well, let's back up for a second.
Okay.
First of all, Fun kicked ass. I mean, there's just no way around it. I mean, I like Fun just fine, and I like that song a lot. I like the hits, but wow, they were so good, and they got some indie cred. They were actually Gary Lucy from our one of our favorite podcasts, Rock Solid, actually recalculated all this back on one of their shows. But Nate Russo was in a group called The Format. Andrew Dose was in a group called Antithello, and Jack Antonoff was in a group called Steel Train. And they those groups all, I guess, went their separate ways, and those guys decided to get together and they formed Fun. And Some Nights is their second album. And I guess after 10 years in the business, you're allowed to make some money. So I made that. A lot of people were there because they heard them on Top 40 radio, but it was fine. They were so good. I'm totally not mad at them. Back to 21 Pilots. What a pleasant surprise.
21 Pilots. They come on and they're a pop punk band that would tour with All Time Low, and then all of a sudden they're the Beastie Boys, and you don't know which one to classify them under.
It was kind of, they put me in the mind of a little early Kid Rock too. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be this rock garbage. But no, the Tyler can sing.
Oh, they're good.
He's got a really good voice, and
really good.
They did a really nice song called House of Gold, which I think is probably unlike a lot of the rest of their stuff. It's just a song, and he sings it with his ukulele and does it mostly acoustic, just with a little bit of drum behind him, and very nice. So pleasantly surprised at 21 Pilots off of Columbus, Ohio. Let me see here. We Are Scientists. The name was cooler than I thought they were going to be. They were fine. But I was like,
The guy was like 30, but he dyed his hair gray, and I couldn't get past that.
Well, it's Steve Martin's hair turned gray when he was like in his 20s. So,
but I swear that was like him trying to be cool. So like, I'll dye my hair silver, but it's at that awkward stage where it's not cool anymore because it's fading.
All the old folks in the crowd will like me. Speaking of, much older crowd than I would have imagined. I thought, well, maybe that's just a festival,
weird.
But then I realized we were at Warped last year, and Warped was not a lot of.
Okay, well, there's also a difference in the demographic of the band.
Well, I think what this had to do was that Bunbury, I think, was a case of it was a festival on the riverfront, so people took it as that, and not so much as I want to see all these bands.
Warped Tour is seen as a concert, but Bunbury is just kind of like the place to be with like the food vendors.
I would say with that, I would say that's good.
It's just kind of like a thing to put on your Instagram, really.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. MGMT were pretty good.
Wasn't a fan.
Wasn't as good as I would have thought. They were a little
I expected more. I think
I expected some moving around. Well, here's the thing. They put me in the mind of OMD. Yes, I told you.
Yeah.
Because it's the two. What I understand, it's the two dudes, and then everybody else is just kind of like a support crew.
And in order to get the support crew, they cloned themselves.
Yeah, they did all look alike, didn't they?
Cloned themselves.
Anyway, the other reason they remind me of OMD is because I guess the backstory to them is when they first got signed to the record label, someone got a hold of their demo and called them from a label and said, "We want to sign you," and they thought that the record label was kidding, similar to how OMD was in their early days. They were told they were a pop band, and they were mortified. They were like, "No, we're German. We're German influence, experimental. We're not a pop band." So that's kind of why the two remind me of each other. But OMD moves around a lot more than MGMT. That's all I gotta say.
MGMT.
I think trying to make up for it with the light show and all that stuff.
But the light show is the annoying part. As the annoying PhotoPass girl.
Yes.
You can't get speaking of with the big screen.
Speaking of, we covered this for Tone Audio Magazine, who we'll link to on the site, by the way. And hopefully, we don't understand actually how this is going to work. This is the first time we've actually done this.
We don't know what we're doing.
Well, I've been doing this for over 20 years now. Good Lord.
No, but we don't know what we're sending to them.
As far as the photographs go, yeah,
we don't.
We don't know. We know what we're doing. You kidding? Listen to the podcast. Isn't it obvious? What we don't understand is that if we'll be able to keep some of the photographs and post them on Check H's photo blog, or if since we were on assignment for Tone, that all of the photographs are going to belong to them. So we'll get that sorted. We'll let you know in a coming episode.
Including myself.
And I would just say the other thing is that about Bunbury, if you come next year, if you want to travel to it, it's a 4 or 5 hour drive for you from the Midwest to Cincinnati. Do it. It's a gorgeous location right on the riverfront. You got downtown behind you. You got Kentucky across the river. See riverboats going by, and it's in a riverside park called Sawyer Point. And the northern half of it is what everybody was calling the chill area, where like some of the smaller bands were, and the bigger bands were on the two stages at the south end. And the only problem was there's a bottleneck between the two. But there's really nothing you can do about that because it's just that little strip of land. So I mean, that's the price you pay for seeing it on the riverfront in that really cool location.
They're actually facing each other, and it makes me really mad that there wasn't a face-off of bands. Like, it's too perfect for that.
Oh yeah, it should have been.
Like,
we should suggest that next year.
I get really upset that didn't happen.
And my final thing is here in the little Bunbury information guide. Yeah, well, wait a minute.
We don't talk about this.
We will. There was a little thing, they have a little fake news desk, and it's the headline is Jonas Brothers expected to meet the Bunbury height requirement in 2014, and there's a couple paragraphs about how the Jonas Brothers weren't allowed to perform because they weren't tall enough, and I thought, boy, it's a shame they couldn't come up with something funny. And then I realized that my friends over at DERF actually wrote this, and I wrote
funny.
Well, no, I wrote for DERF briefly, then we just kind of lost touch, but DERF is an Onion-esque magazine here in Cincinnati, and it's usually very funny, which I'm surprised why they went with something, I don't know, we'll say it, lame, because go to DERF, I think it's DERF Magazine, just Google it, as they say on the BBC, go to any search engine and DERF Magazine, and it'll come up, and most of the stuff is really, really funny, even if you're not from Cincinnati. A lot of the national stuff they do and sports stuff they do is really hilarious. I would say it's probably second only to The Onion in doing that, and maybe our buddy Ross Rance.
The Onion.
Maybe the Ross Rance over at his website. I would say those are close 2 and 3 behind The Onion for fake news, and maybe we're trailing at 4th or 5th, but... All right, so anyway, that's Bunbury for you, and we're going to go out into the Andy Kindler interview intro with a little bit of some local favorites. The Walk the Moon, they were good, and I didn't even realize the keyboardist sings, that's right up my alley.
And plays drums at the same time.
Oh yeah, it was very cool.
Like one
yeah,
drum.
and the hometown crowd supported them. They were really good live,
They
and
were really good, like unexpectedly good.
Very, very happy to see those kids. Very happy for them. They're recording a new album in the fall, they said. And this is, we'll give you a little blast of their big hit single that you may or may not have heard. But if you've heard them, you've heard this song. This is Anna Sun, Walk the Moon on PF Tape Recorder.
Screen falling off the door hanging off the hinges. My feet are still sore, my back's on the fringes. We tore up the walls, we slept on couches. We lifted this house, firecrackers in the east. My car parks out, your hands on my cheeks, your shoulder in my mouth. I was up against the wall on the west mezzanine. We rattle this town, we rattle this scene. Oh,
Walk the Moon, Anna Sun, going all Zane Lowe on you again, talking over the record. But it's time now for the interview with Andy Kindler. Andy was supposed to do the interview at 2 o'clock in the afternoon this past week. I believe it was on Thursday, and I called his house, and he was not awake, and his wife was a little confused and puzzled, but woke him up anyway and explained that Andy never forgets anything, but he forgot this, and that's where we're going to pick up our interview with Andy Kindler.
Hey, who's this?
It's PF Wilson from Minneapolis City Pages.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry, man.
That's okay, bud.
What time are we supposed to do this, at 11?
11 your time, yeah, 2 my time.
Oh, what time is it now?
2 o'clock Eastern time. Isn't it 11 o'clock out there? So it's 1 in Chicago.
Oh, so I did.
Yeah.
So I'm okay.
Yeah, you're fine now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, well, let me...
Oh, man, I think because of the holiday.
That kid's throwing everybody off, isn't it?
All right, so now I'm ready to go, though.
All right.
I'm here.
Cool. All right. Well, first of all, it's been about a year probably since we spoke last, I'm guessing. What have you been up to?
Oh, that is a trick question of some kind.
Loaded one, isn't it?
I'm doing, like professionally up to?
Yeah, sure. Or personally,
okay.
whatever you...
Well, as opposed to a hobby.
Yeah.
It's a hobby. Bob's Burgers, I think, would be new.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I'm the voice of Mort on Bob's Burgers. I used to say I'm a recurring character. Why do I have to involve everybody in what I'm doing?
Exactly. Why
do I have to soft sell it?
I was going to say, why do you have to soft sell it there? And
So that's good. And then I just did Letterman.
Yeah, I forgot to record it, and I never stay up that late. I try, and it's just about 11:15. Boom.
What can you do? You can't catch everything. Oh, also, I'm trying to wake up. I was on Maron.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Maron's new show.
Oh, yeah, that's right. How was that?
That was really, really great because, I've been... We've been friends for a while now, and I remember when he first did his podcast. So, nobody, there's no way of knowing at that time.
Oh, yeah,
how everything would develop,
Right. I couldn't remember if you and Maron were mates or if he was one of the people you kind of occasionally had a good-hearted feud with, and I guess it was the former.
We had, over the years, we had, up and down in the relationship because we went out on tour together. With Eugene Merman.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and so we, so that was kind of like not like a tumultuous tour. It wasn't like the Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still a current reference. But
young people have to look that one. They're Googling now. Led Zeppelin. Let me.
Well, but who's famous for trashing the hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff?
That'd be Led Zeppelin, yeah.
Okay.
I think that would
or
fit the bill.
no one gets out of here alive. Who's that?
Or maybe a group like Asia, known for having a lot of tension among the tour and breaking up halfway through tours and stuff like that. So could be.
Yeah, but then I got to play myself, so that was basically playing his friend.
Oh,
but
that's
me
cool.
But me.
So,
no big stretches. I'm trying to think of anything else. Can you think? Have you heard anything about?
No, I have. I see you on Twitter all the time and Facebook and making these hilarious little micro commentaries and so forth. And
Twitter has been like the greatest thing, but then also just I can't regulate how much time I spend.
Yeah.
The last few days I've been good at when I get the impulse to leap off the couch, then I try to restrain a little bit. Because once you're in, I spend sometimes just going back and forth between the interactions and it's like a drug.
Now you're of course what we would call a critique, like to critique the business, and I know it's always been come from a stand-up standpoint, but as far as like all these other tools that people are using, when you kind of expand out and look at that, I mean, are there people that are maybe using Twitter more effectively than others? Of course, there's Ron Delaney, of course, and
right.
People like that. But are there people you feel that are maybe not using the medium to their best advantage?
Well, I think the one thing you could say is it is kind of there is this an aspect to it where there are no rules. So I kind of like that part of it, because if you're promoting, like, I try to do a balance between when I'm promoting things and then humorous comments.
Yes.
So I try to intersperse them, but I don't stick by any formula. I think if you try I think the less you can think about what you're doing on Twitter, the better. So
yeah,
because I've heard, like, I made fun of Mindy Kaling I think it was a couple of years ago, because they had a thing in Variety magazine about the correct way for. I mean, it wasn't as simple as what's the correct way of using Twitter, but what they did was had different comics talk about the way to use it. So,
yeah.
Like Mindy Kaling said, it should be things overheard at a coffee shop. So I was just making fun of that. I think I'm going to have the omelet. Would you think you'll have more coffee? I don't know. So it also doesn't fit into every comedian style. Some comedians are more introverted, or they don't have any interest in it too.
Yeah, they can't seem to wrap their head around, and maybe it's because it doesn't fit. If you're a storyteller kind of guy, it doesn't really. And even like a guy like Maron, it doesn't really seem to quite fit him. The only time I ever see him on there is occasionally he'll make a comment while he's in the airport or something, or to promote a show or to promote what's on the podcast. But that's really about it.
He's pretty free ranging with it. He'll actually show all sides. If he's on a plane, something's happening on the plane. Plane's delayed, he'll tweet to the airline about why they're delayed. So he uses it really, really well. But I mean, like, there's guys like Dave Attell who are I think geniuses, but someone like Dave Attell is hilarious in the moment. So I just think he's just something where it's not something that they got into.
Yeah.
But to me, it's the first one that I really, because Facebook to me is like I think set up like a trick or a labyrinth. It's like a scavenger hunt.
Yes.
You have 75 new of these. Twitter is liberating. I wish I was getting paid.
Yeah, that'd be a great gig.
Endorsement.
Well, do you find that you have because you're more of a Twitter user than not, certainly, that your radar is now kind of attuned to what's going to be happening on Twitter? Like you can just kind of predict when people are going to start jumping on a topic, and then also predicting what the tweets will be. I think you'd have a good mind for that, for spotting the hackneyed and the obvious that's going to be coming forth from a certain issue that comes up.
Well, the thing is, too, is that people do a good job of, everybody has their own. The thing that can be incredible about it is when you'll say something, hopefully funny, then people will chime in on it. Then it starts to build into this thing where everyone's kind of challenging each other, and it's pretty cool. But then the other side of it is when people get into like wars, and it's like the microcosm of everything that's potential minefields in terms of how people interact on social media. you know.
Yeah.
And so I try to learn more from that. And I mean, there was a time period where I would pretty much like, not like go nuts, but I would find the worst way to read the tweet.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
to interpret it. And then I definitely want to avoid, because I used to do a bit about how, you know, like look at all the YouTube comments or whatever, and then people all of a sudden, you know, just say, you Kindler's the worst. And then, you know, you're all of a sudden walking around saying, why is Razor Blade and Apple upset with me? Why does Loves the Serial Kill 666? Why does he have a problem? So like you don't know what you're arguing with.
Yeah.
And then there are people who use it in a weird way, or they use it to provoke. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
so, but it is pretty. And then, you know, it's like when stuff in Boston happened with the bombings. You know, you could see the downsides in general. Like, I never go on Reddit and those type of things anyway, so I don't know what's going on there. But there's rumors start flying, and people comment on rumors. So I wouldn't say that we've ironed out the social networking as news out way. I wouldn't count on it as a way of getting news yet.
No, it's a helpful guidepost, but yeah, it doesn't no substitute for.
Don't get in general in life. Don't get carried away, is what I say.
Yeah, that's a good way to approach it. So overall in comedy, what kind of trends have you noticed that are irking you? Because I know there's always one or two things that you kind of see and kind of get stuck in your craw.
Well, you know, this year, I mean, I kind of have gotten obsessed with and again, like going alongside of this couldn't have happened years ago, but the way people's personalities, like the way Ricky Gervais, the way his personality is developed, and how he's like, to me, the guy who I was like the original British Office, I was so just thrilled about.
Yeah.
But now he's turned to this guy who's on Twitter, and he's either talking about how much he's an atheist, and then the other half of his tweets are he claims not to care what people or think of him.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of goes into the whole thing of how Bill Maher. I'm kind of obsessed with Maher.
Yeah.
Continue to be obsessed with Maher. And the thing about Maher is that I write stuff about him every year.
Yeah.
And I don't use it all. So, just the fact that and sometimes like when I make this speech in Montreal, we talked about this before, right?
I think so. Yeah.
State of the Industry speech.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going up there and making a speech. So I have to sometimes take what I'm very angry about and see if I can somehow I mean, it doesn't have to be like laugh out loud funny jokes.
Yeah.
But it has to be, you know, it can't be so just rage.
Right.
So, but this whole movement of people of the kind of the angry atheism, and Bill Maher's kind of like, he's gotten to me more and more harder to watch as the years go by. So, and I'm kind of obsessed with it.
Yeah. I just take it as part of the package, but.
What's that?
I just take it as part of the package. It's like, you know, that's. You know, I can't agree with it all, but you know, and that's just.
But
that's
but
his
you enjoy
shtick.
watching it?
I actually listened to it because I don't have HBO, so I actually listened to his show. They do it as a podcast through iTunes, and it's fine. I mostly enjoy it. And there's a couple times where you know you have to say, well, yeah, that's BS, but that's you can do that with everybody. But I'm more with him. I'm more with him than I'm against him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think the thing about him is though, you know, on the one level of the more mundane, the fact that he continues to use the same. It'd be like when I wrote that Hacks Handbook.
Yeah.
About comedy, he uses the same devices over and over again. So
Yeah.
like he'll always say, my next guest is a physicist with this such and such laboratory.
My old job.
And he says, my old job.
Yeah, yeah. And the new rules I'm bored with. I think it was that good a premise to begin with. And
Well, he's always been very clunky in terms of how he delivers.
yeah,
delivers things.
yeah. There is that. Well, speaking of faith and things like that, and you, as I recall, if I'm not mistaken, are a fan of the New York Jets. Am I correct?
Yeah. Well, you could. This is something that could trap me with, but I can't wiggle out of
Well,
it. I am a lifelong fan.
I thought you would be a good person to ask about the whole Tebow fascination.
Well, I just never. You mean like from a religious standpoint, or from a football
Just from
standpoint?
a football. Well, I think the two are related because people try to dump this BS persecution on him, that people are against him because he's open about his faith, when in fact he's just a mediocre quarterback. And I think that's the problem people had. They get so much attention as a mediocre quarterback, regardless of his religious beliefs.
Right. I think if he was a brilliant, he was an amazing quarterback, then the other stuff would be stuff that'd be more fascinating to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah.
The other part of me though is always like people can always come back, so maybe he's a guy who will eventually figure it out. But it doesn't look very good.
No, no.
And even that year that he was with
Denver,
the Patriots before
Denver.
Denver, okay, yeah. You could see Elway was getting upset.
Yeah.
And he's a quarterback, so.
Well, he won games.
The Jets thing, but I'm very nice. The other thing is, the older I get, the harder I don't understand how people are able to keep up with all of the. It's too much stuff to keep up with. When I was a kid, I thought I had a handle on the current teams that were around.
Yeah.
But now it's like so beyond me. I am though fascinated by the Stephen A. Smith kind of guys.
In what way?
Well, he's like in your face. He's like an in your face version of a comedian. You know, where they always have their Tom Sharp. You ever listen to Tom Sharpling?
Oh, okay.
The best show. Yeah, he talks about. He was talking about that the other week about how there's that show with Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, and it's just like in your face for a half hour. They're going to tell you what they think is going to happen, and it's just another. In your face, it seems to be a popular way to go in show business in every category.
It does. Do you think it stems from that reality TV programming people are so enamored of? Or were?
Well, I keep thinking everything has reached its saturation points. Every once in a while, you watch TV for because it's bad, and so like I can watch some of those Real Housewives of different. You know, I have a joke about the Real Housewives of various areas.
Yeah.
So I can watch them, but the reality shows they're bad, and they also keep using the same tricks all the time. Like on the Real Housewives, they seem to interview and contract terrible people. That's the gimmick.
Yeah.
But then amongst those terrible people, then they all decide who the worst one is amongst them, and then they kind of gang up on that person.
Yeah, that's like Survivor. Most reality shows you watch, that's probably the same formula.
But it is, so I get fascinated, but then so I would kind of get bored at some point with all the permutations of how that's done, you know.
Yep.
And then all the contest shows.
Oh yeah.
But like a lot of things, there's always a struggle between like I'm kind of obsessed with things that are bad, so I get obsessed with it, and then the thing you realize that it's just nobody. Everyone's attention span seems to be split. So there's always there's always like nobody really cares about the things that seem to be cranked out on their own without anybody in charge of it, kind of.
Yeah. What do you have coming up the rest of the year then?
It's almost like a self-parody, you know?
Yes. Yes, we do draw a lot of humor from it. That's kind of, what you're known for in some ways is, kind of having that critical eye, not just on comedy, but, on the hackneyed, the overdone. So. Yeah,
and the other thing is that it just depends on, like Leno now is going to, he may really actually go away at this point. I feel like this year on the speech I'm going to do some kind of a farewell to, not to him. He's not going away, but some kind of a farewell package.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'm obsessed with is how much people have embraced Jimmy Fallon in a very odd way.
Yeah.
They love. I'm starting to find it more, just fascinating in general what people look for when they look people love that he is so friendly, kind of like friendly.
Yeah. Affable, if you will.
Yeah. What does that fulfill in you? Like to me, that's not what I go look for in a TV show.
Maybe it's that
possibility.
the sense that, hey, he's just like me.
Yeah. Well, or that I think the other thing is like not only that, it's like he's in a great mood. He's so cheerful. He's so like I'm doing an impression of him interviewing Stalin, and it's like Stalin, you killed over 30 million people. That's crazy. Because just always seems to have this boyish enthusiasm for everything, and so it's like, and to me, like Letterman's like Letterman. I was watching he's in his prime. I've never seen him funnier. He was like I watched his stuff on the DVR, but he was doing this thing where he's spraying people with water outside the studio.
Okay.
Have you ever seen that bit?
Not that one, no.
People are walking down the street, and it's usually in summer, and he's able to activate a control this whatever that I'm not very good technically. He's able to control a thing that shoots, so it just shoots water all over the street, and some people, and nobody gets crazy. Nobody really freaks out. But so yesterday he was like, "Who's from out of town? Get out of here!" And to me, that is entertaining. That he is that way, that he shows his personality.
Yeah.
Whereas the whole idea of like, I'm going to do a great show for you and nobody get upset. Everything's going to be cool. There's nothing entertaining about that to me.
Yes. Well, he's the master. Well, all right, sir. I appreciate you taking the time here, and of course you'll be in Minneapolis in a couple of weeks, and this will be in print and online and city pages as usual. And
yeah, I feel terrible that I was a little groggy.
Oh, no
problem.
problem.
Not me at my best. But if there's anything else, because there's specific things. Oh, one thing I am going to do. One joke. I don't know if you need any specific jokes, but
I'll take one. Yeah.
Leno, I've been doing the thing where I say I like to do my impression of Jay Leno if he was a comedian. Now, are you still doing the podcast thing?
Yeah. I'm recording this for that as well. So this will drop a week from Sunday. That'll drop, and it'll coincide with you being in Minneapolis. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Do you edit that one, or is it just going to be me?
No. We do some post production. So.
I just want to say to anybody who's had to listen to this, I've never done an interview in my life where first of all, for some reason, I can space out on things that are interviews. I don't want to let anybody think that if you book me for a club, that I'll space out on the gig.
Okay.
Oh, I'm supposed to be in Cleveland? I didn't know.
I should get on a plane.
But this is, if anybody ever wanted to hear how I sound from dead sleep.
Okay, this is a good example.
You win.
All right. It'll be a good example. All right, sir. We'll have a good rest of the day. And have
Thank
fun
you,
in Minneapolis.
Sir.
All right, Andy.
And I hope... Did my wife really answer the phone when you called?
Yeah, she was puzzled.
So you didn't have to call back even?
No, she just went and got you.
So as far as you knew, I was on time.
Yeah. But she ratted you out.
This is a very interesting experience for me.
She ratted you out, though, and said...
I was 9 years old, and all my friends came to the house because they were going to the United Nations, and I completely forgot.
Well, she ratted you out and said you forgot. Said you don't forget anything, but you forgot this one. So
yeah. So I'm glad that we went with the truth.
Yes.
Usually we lie. We try to lie.
Cover it up. Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks so much.
All right, Andy.
I hope I see you in Minneapolis.
Hope to see you in Cincinnati because that's where I am. So we'll get you down here though.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I'll put in a word.
That rings a bell now. Okay. So
cool.
So either I'll travel or you'll travel.
Right, exactly. We'll put this together.
Man.
All right, Andy. Thanks.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thanks again to Andy Kindler for being on the show. Andy is at the Acme Comedy Club in Minneapolis, July 16th through July 20th. We are up against the clock, though, so go to pfradio.podbean.com for more dates, links, and so on, and all the information about all the stuff you heard on the show today.